Hello and welcome back to the Football Chat Podcast. Today it's episode 127, where we're continuing our series of going through every Premier League side and rebuilding their squad for 23-24. Today it is Burnley, the Championship champions, coming up from the second division. They played some really nice football last year, didn't they? We'll start with a look at last season, as we always do. Very successful campaign, wasn't it?
They were absolutely unstoppable. Brilliant throughout. They played some really good stuff. I was really impressed with them in the league. There are a few questions about them making the step up. Yes, they did tear up the Championship. Yes, they were very good. And it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust. It's
about, as you say, that adjustment, that transition from playing a really attractive style of play in the Championship, but making sure it's more solid. Because we did see them having a few problems with conceding goals. I think back to the Hull game, which they drew 1-0. They dominated a lot in that game, but they were very weak on the counter-attack. However, towards the end of last season, Kompany did remedy those issues. He decided to get both his fullbacks in decent areas, but not too high up the pitch. At the start of the season, he liked to have Connor Roberts sort of invert into that back three, and Ian Martson push high, but now he's had both his fullbacks a little further forward, but Martson dropped back a little bit. So that creates a bit more solidity there in that defence. I think that's what he'll do next season, which means then Al-Zaruri does take a wider position, which he is, I would say, more crucial at. That does mean Martson's less effective, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing if it means they're more defensive, more solid in those positions. Obviously, they do play a very attractive brand of football, a very high possession, great passing style of play, very reminiscent of Pep Guardiola's style football, which makes sense, doesn't it? It would be weird if Kompany was playing Klopp ball, but Gegenpress football. But they do love to bait that press. They sit very deep, invite the pressure, play through it once the opposition come towards them, and then they can hit them hard on the counter-attack. Or on the attack, sorry. So a very good side, very good side. There's some key players then, because I know there'll be people watching this that maybe didn't watch much of Burnley last season. To be honest, we watched them live, didn't we, against Norwich? But other than that, I can't say I've watched loads of Burnley. I did do quite a bit of research before this episode, just to sort of catch up on how they like to play football. But I have to say, Burnley, the thing with the Championship is you often hear about the sides that have done really well. But as someone who doesn't watch the Championship every week, you just sort of go, Burnley are dominating. But they have had problems this season, but they've also been impeccable. So I think they're a really impressive side. I think City on the other day will be an interesting challenge. We already saw them lose heavily in the FA Cup. Yeah. It will show a lot as to how far they've come, how they get on in that Friday night game. But some key players and people that may not have heard of them. Al-Zaruri, a very talented player with a great song as well. He's a very pacey winger, great at cutting inside, getting shots away. I believe he's their second top goal scorer, only behind Jay Rodriguez.
Having an opportunity to watch Burnley, and especially him live, was brilliant.
And he scored. And they did their song. They did his song. So, he's a really interesting player. And obviously a full Morocco international now. I think he's really impressive, and he will be key for Burnley next season. Someone with a bit more experience than a lot of his teammates who maybe haven't played. I know he's not playing the Premier League, but he has played international football, which is a big thing. So he has played at a level higher than a lot of the other Burnley players. Another one is actually the winger on the opposite side, who I think's not been given as much credit this season. But Manuel Benson has also had a fantastic season, and I think he's the greatest demonstration of Kompany's ability to coach a player. Because throughout this season, he's become better and better at finding those spaces, getting into areas where he can receive the ball. But he's also become a lot more physical, and that's something they've worked on in training. He came from Anderlecht in the what's the Belgian Pro League? It's called the Belgian. I can't remember what the Belgian league's called, but they brought him in, and obviously a very different style of football. It's a lot more physical, the English game, but he's adapted really well. They've beefed him up a lot, like that Leon Goretzka summer where he suddenly became the Hulk. Yeah. They've done that. He's very physical now, and he's very capable to play in the Premier League. So, they're a really interesting team. I do think, though, they are going to adapt their style a little bit. Yeah. I think we'll tend to see... So at times they've had both their midfielders almost operating as 2-8s last season. I think they'll play with a double pivot this season to just try and keep it a lot more defensive. I think their fullbacks will sit a little deeper as well. We won't see Martson making those flying runs quite as often. I think he will still get forward, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the time he was almost sat as the winger, especially in possession. So I think, as we saw towards the end of the season, Martson will be a little deeper, and they'll set up with a lot more solidity, a lot more stability, which will just protect them from the counter-attack a little more. So yeah, that's sort of how they play. In terms of the squad then, we'll start with the contracts that are expiring. This summer there is only one contract expiring, which is Matthew Loughton. I don't think that's much cause for concern. He didn't get too many minutes last season, to my knowledge.
Third choice right back, I think now, behind Roberts and
Vitinha, who was a right wing, but they transformed him to be right back. So
I mean, the club's servant, obviously been around for a very long time at Burnley. They might want to keep him around just for that dread because he has played in the Premier League.
It looks like he is just leaving.
Yeah,
they won't renew that.
Shame that, but because I quite like him, but
yeah, he seems like a nice player.
He's served Burnley very well.
Yeah. And has done a job at times this season. So I don't think he's a bad player by any stretch, but not Premier League quality. No, so it makes sense. And I think he'll do well at a different championship side. Maybe someone like a Swansea.
Nah, he's better than that. Matthew Loughton's better than Swansea.
Okay, fair enough. And then they've got 6 players expiring in 2024. Some big players amongst this list. Charlie Taylor, which is their only current left back at this club. Because obviously Ian Martson was on loan last season. Bailey Peacock-Farrell, the backup goalkeeper. Johan Berg Gudmundsson. But then the 3 more key players are Josh Brownhill, Jack Cork and Jay Rodriguez. Now, the one that stands out to me the most is Josh Brownhill. He's a really talented player.
Get him a new contract ASAP.
Yep. Give him whatever he wants. Sign him over the keys to Turf Moor.
And do it before the season starts, because then if you're bottom of the league, he can't change his mind. Because if you're bottom of the league and you got a new contract,
I don't think Burnley will be bottom of the league. Then I think they'll all right. But yeah, of course, we'll go into predictions at the end. But yeah, Brownhill, for me, it's either you sign him to a new deal before the start of the season or you sell him. Because I don't think he's irreplaceable, but he is worth money.
Yeah.
So for me, as key and as pivotal as he is to this Burnley system, you could find another player to play that role. And I think you've got to cash in on him if he's not going to renew his contract. Because we saw with Bournemouth how much of a loss Jefferson Lerma is on a free. And I think if Burnley lost Brownhill for nothing, that's a massive problem.
Yeah.
It's a massive problem. But yeah, and then Jack Cork he's been immense this season playing that defensive midfield role. He can play as the lone DM, he can play in a double pivot. So for me, that he's really key. Whether you keep him or not depends on how Bastien develops. I think he'll be fine to play as that DM, but you definitely want another DM. So if you sign a youngster this summer, maybe someone like Etienne Camara at Huddersfield, you'll be maybe all right to let Cork leave. But for me, I'd renew that contract out of safety. You can always sell him on or keep him or just keep an extra year if you do find another player. So for me, he's a sign-on, as is Jay Rodriguez, who had a really good season this year. He's also completely changed the way he plays the game. Jay Rodriguez was known as a striker that would get a load of championship goals. Yeah. I would have expected him going into the season to bag like 20 goals. But this season, he reinvented himself as almost a false 9 to facilitate the movements of Manuel Benson and Anas Aurore, but also Josh Brownhill as that attacking midfielder. So for me, I would sign Brownhill, Cork, Rodriguez. Bailey Peacock-Farrell very much depends on whether they can get a backup goalkeeper, because I think there's better out there.
I think of Cork.
But maybe you sell him on this summer.
Cork and Rodriguez are imperative, especially because there's a lot of players. There's a lot of very good players in this Burnley squad, but there isn't that much of Premier League experience.
Yeah.
Rodriguez, Cork, 2 players that have played in the Premier League, know what the challenge is like, because there is a big step up. They've gone from being the best team in one league to one of the worst in the next league. It is hard to adjust to that.
For me, Rodriguez probably doesn't start, but he can. He can definitely start.
Impact though. Impact.
Exactly. He could also be a great impact player. And then what would you do about Charlie Taylor and Johan Berg Gudmundsson?
Gudmundsson, again, he's played in the Prem, he's experienced.
So Charlie Taylor, along those same sort of lines.
I just don't know. I think you can get better. And I think Gudmundsson, he's got a good long throw on him. But
for me, there are areas in the squad you need to address first before a backup right winger. So I would keep Gudmundsson for this season and then let him leave on a free next summer, because I don't think you're going to get much from him anyway. Maybe a couple mil from, I don't know why Swansea are the only clubs that keep coming to my head as a championship side. Someone like that, could be someone like that if Reading had any money. But Gudmundsson could definitely do a job in the championship, possibly for Norwich, since they're just signing loads of ex-Prem players at the moment. Stacey, Barnes, Gudmundsson fits that sort of bill. So he could get a move this summer, but for me, you're not going to get enough money to really make any, for it to be worth it. So I would let him leave in a year's time, and then next summer you look at a right winger, rather than try and move him on this summer, because there's already a lot to do, I would say, for this summer. So keep him around, and then Charlie Taylor, it makes sense to keep him around for another year, maybe extend that contract if he has a good season. Or if you loan in a left back, then you want to keep him around just for a bit of security. If not, you don't have a left back. He is their only left back at the club right now. They will obviously sign another one, you would imagine. Charlie Taylor won't start in that role. It's just whether they can bring in someone that of the quality of Ian Martson.
I was like, so they won't get up Martson. Doesn't look like getting Martson.
I don't know.
Back. Depends. Who knows? Chelsea could do anything.
Chelsea are tomorrow, and we'll be talking about them in detail with regards to Ian Martson. But unless Cucurella leaves, I really don't see why Martson would want to stay, because he'd be third choice, and then even then he's competing with Lewis Hall. So unless Hall gets a loan away, Cucurella leaves,
or Hall gets
surely Martson
leaves. Position. Who knows what Poch could do? We'll touch on the Chelsea tomorrow.
And we'll get on to Martson when we get on to potential improvements. So, should we do our squad keep or sell then?
Yes.
As we always do, we run through the entirety of the squad, and we discuss whether players should be kept or sold. I think this will be quite an easy one, because a lot of Burnley's current squad are fine. They did well last season. They brought in the right sort of players, and then also they've lost a lot due to loanees. So they can't really afford to sell anyone right now. But yeah, looking at their side then, Arjanet Muric is a more than capable goalkeeper.
Yeah, brilliant.
Really, really good campaign. I think he'll continue to be their number one next season. I would have a few question marks, and I would say
there's better out there.
Bring in a backup goalkeeper.
I think you could bring in a backup goalkeeper that will challenge him. Also, we saw Peacock Farrell start a few games this year. Yeah. He was...
The biggest problem for Burnley is that while other relegation sides can go out and bring in a Neto or bring in a Keylor Navas, who maybe aren't as good with the ball at his feet, not in the case of Navas. Navas is good playing out from the back.
Yeah.
But they need someone that's going to play this company system. And the only goalkeeper that really came to my head when thinking about that was Claudio Bravo. But he's just signed a contract extension with Real Betis and is 40 years old. So
40.
My only thought there was he's played the Man City system, and he is good with the ball at his feet. So, but equally did really struggle in the Prem. But even when he was in his prime. Not Joe Hart, God. But yeah, for me, Muric probably starts next season, but I would potentially bring in a backup goalkeeper. Yeah. Billy Peacock-Farrell's fine to keep around. Maybe let him leave next summer. Maybe you renew his contract.
A, I don't know who's going to buy him, and B, I don't think you'll get much for him.
Yeah, well, he'd be a fantastic Championship goalkeeper for a lot of clubs, but probably not ideal. Then they've also got Will Norris, who isn't in the Premier League app, but he is a goalkeeper who's
decent.
Been out on loan this season, I believe, at Peterborough, so he'll probably be third choice. It'll be either him or Dennis Frankie, who they signed from PSG, or Charlie Casper, who's been out on loan, but I cannot remember for the life of me what club he was at. I feel like it's someone like Rochdale, I want to say, but that's just complete stab in the dark. But they've got a load of young goalkeepers, mainly though Muric and Peacock-Farrell are the ones that are important. Muric for me will probably start, and then readdress that in January if you're shipping a lot of goals, if he's struggling to adapt. Peacock-Farrell's a fine backup for now. If you do bring in a backup goalkeeper, then maybe look to move him on, but you don't. It's not a prerogative, I wouldn't say. On to defenders then. We've already discussed Charlie Taylor a bit, but keep him around.
Yeah, keep him around, but you need to buy someone that's going to challenge him to start.
I would say start over him. If it's only a challenge, then that's probably not great.
No.
What should you do? So, number 5, the next up is Taylor Harwood-Bellis. It looks like they won't be able to renew his contract, which is a big problem. Obviously, he is only on loan from Manchester City. Where do you see him going, Harwood-Bellis? Is it a matter of he will actually get minutes for City next season, or will he move to a club
Pep seems
better than Burnley?
Quite keen on playing them. We've seen Rico Lewis come through, Cole Palmer. It's...
Yeah, but does it say a lot that neither of those got any loan moves? They were just integrated immediately into the first team. Same for Phil Foden, whereas Harwood-Bellis was loaned away from the club. We've not seen yet Pep loan out a player, bring him back into the first team.
I mean, he'll probably reassess during pre-season, see what he's like, and then decide whether he wants to loan him out or not.
For me, though, he's going to have suitors who are able to pay more and offer him more in wages. I think there will be clubs interested, probably someone like Borussia Dortmund. someone like that, he could go and develop at. So for me, it'll be very difficult to get him back for another year. Same really follows for CJ Egan-Riley, who I don't think he's played all that much this season. I may be wrong there, but I'll be honest, I haven't really seen him.
I didn't realise he was there.
He's played... Oh, he's been on loan. Oh no, so he was only there for the first half of the season, 3 appearances. Yeah. Then he got a loan move to Hibbern. Oh no, got a free transfer, so he's a Burnley player.
Oh.
It's just the Premier League app doesn't have a picture of him, so they just put him in the City picture. But so he does play for Burnley. He played a couple of times the first half of the season, then he got a loan move away to Hibernian. He's probably not ready for Premier League football, is he?
Sell him. He's at Hibernian.
I wouldn't sell him. I'd loan him Championship, see how he gets on.
Sure.
The fact though that they played him in the Championship, didn't like what he was doing, and loaned him to Scotland. Not a great sign for CJ Egan-Riley. Connor Roberts
must keep
fantastic performances for the club this season. I think he'll do a shift for him next year if he is to keep around. Yeah. Same really goes for Hjalmar Ekdal. He was a more than reliable cover for their centre halves this season, and without Taylor Harwood-Bellis renewing, and we'll get on to Bayer in a moment, but yeah, Ekdal will be crucial because they do need centre halves obviously, and he's more than capable as a rotation centre half. Then Vitinho, who's been completely transformed really from a right winger to a right back. An excellent job from Kompany. He's a must keep, right?
I was saying, I remember what he played in that Norwich game, and he was brilliant down the right hand side.
Yeah. I think that versatility as well is really useful. He can be a right winger if you need him to be. He can play at right back where he's been.
It also means he's very good going forward. Yeah,
exactly. And I think for the way that Burnley want to play, you do then have those options because you could play. A lot of the times I've had Martin fly forwards on the left hand side and Connor Roberts sitting deep. But if you played Taylor or bring in a more defensive left back, but if you play Taylor and Vitinho, then Vitinho could be the one that pushes forwards and Taylor. So I know they tend to play both their fullbacks in a similar sort of role recently, but maybe they'll go back to that 3 if they see that as more stable potentially. But yeah, then Emin Al-Dakil. I'm going to have a look at this guy because I'll be honest, I do not know who he is. He's 21 years old, came from the Belgian leagues. Looks decent to be fair. He's played only 8 times this season, but has looked fairly quality in every appearance. 7.12 average football rating is not bad at all. He's played a lot in the Cups. He is in the U21 setup and actually got some minutes for the first team when they played Estonia in the recent Euro qualifiers. So clearly highly rated. He played a lot towards the end of the season, so potentially they played him. When they could afford to rotate, they played him, and he actually played well. So I don't actually know where he is. So he is a centre half. I think he'll be fine as a cover option if you need him. Probably wouldn't be looking to start him though.
You can play in your Carroll Cup first round game, not first round, but
yeah. And then Lewis Bayer, of course, on loan this season from Borussia Mönchengladbach, but Burnley have signed him to the tune of £15 million. Do you think that's a good deal?
Yeah. I love all Burnley signings just because they announce them. They're all brilliant.
They are.
Good deal. He looked very good, and I think he is. Obviously he's played in the Bundesliga. He's Premier League quality. Yeah. For me, I think that's a very good addition. Yeah, I think he's a really good player. I think he's a really good player. He's the type of player that could keep you up.
Yeah, exactly. And for 15 mil, I think that's a bargain. I think that's a bargain. Yeah. If you're looking at someone like Harwood-Bellis, they're probably going to want 25-30. Yeah. So for me, 15 mil for Lewis, I don't know how you say his first name, but for Bayer, it's a fantastic bit of business. Yeah. Luke McNally is Irish, young centre half, has been on loan with Coventry this season, had a decent campaign, loaned there for the second half of the campaign. He played pretty much every game, 21 appearances, played all 120 minutes in that playoff final, which they obviously lost. But do you think he'll start to play for Burnley this season, or would you move him on?
He was brilliant. Brilliant. If there's suitors, and sell him because I think you can get a
profit to be made there.
You can get a decent price for him. If not, I think as a third, fourth choice centre half, he can be.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it and you've got Al-Dakil, you've got Bayer, you've got Ekdal. If you then look at signing a Harwood-Bellis replacement, that's 4 centre halves. You could probably sell McNally and just recoup a little bit of profit there, considering you are going to look to sign a lot of players for the Prem, and actually bringing in a bit of money may well help. Just steady the books a little bit. But yeah, on to midfielders then. First of which is Jack Cork, who we've already spoken about a bit this video, but contract expiring in 2024, I would renew that. I would keep him. He's really shown his quality in the Championship this year.
And Premier League Premier League experience.
Well, he has played a lot of Prem, to be fair. No, he's not really looked out of depth in the Prem. He's played for some pretty bad sides and he's looked fine. So, and then Burnley, who just played Dyche. But yeah, it's been a fantastic transition for him because he played that sort of hoof ball, that boot it long Dyche ball to this now Guardiola
He might
ball.
played Bob Bradley football.
I believe he may well have, When did he play for Swansea? So he's at Swansea from 2015 2017. He may have just missed him. Let's have a look.
Bob Bradley.
Must have played for Southampton, by the way.
Imagine your career. What a illustrious career.
I completely forgot whether he was Brad Bobley or Bob Bradley.
Brad Bobley.
As I went to search. That sounds...
So imagine you played Dyche ball.
He was at Swansea only in 2016. He did play
come on.
Bob Bradley.
So Jack Cork's played Bob Bradley football. He's played Dyche ball. And he's played Kompany ball. That is an illustrious list.
I don't know who he played at. He played for Southampton, but I can't think he would have been the manager of Southampton between 2011 and 2015. There's definitely more than one man in there, but was that... Poch? Did he get any Poch ball? He would have played some...
Yeah, Poch was there.
And also he came through the Chelsea Academy.
Yeah, Jack Cork.
He's been
shout out to Jack Cork.
Yeah,
what a player.
You do definitely need to look at another DM though, because he is 33.
Yeah, but he is quality.
He is, age is not on his side. But maybe age like wine. Potentially, you've got to pray age is like wine and not like milk. But he has looked really good this season. I think he'll be good next season, though I would look at a DM maybe next summer as a more starting option and start to face Cork out of the side.
Yeah.
But obviously you have got Samuel Bastien, who is an option. He's played really well this season when called upon. Yeah, 18 appearances in the league, 24 in all competitions, came from the Belgian league, as every other Vincent Kompany signing has. He tends to play more as a DM, but can also play that Josh Cullen role. For me, it's an obvious keep. You're probably not going to get anything that's worthwhile for him, so keep him around. Enough. Speaking of Josh Cullen, what should you do about him? Well, probably keep him because he's a magical player. Played really well recently in those qualifiers for the Euro 24 with Ireland. He is just a really talented player. 8.5 rating in that 3-0 demolition of Gibraltar. He played really well throughout this season. 43 appearances from 44 games, I believe, in the Championship. Started every single match that he played. Yeah. So, an incredible run. 50 appearances now for Burnley since joining last summer from Anderlecht. He's a good player. A really, really good player.
Another player from the Belgian league.
Yeah. And I think he will probably be one of those players that adjust the Premier League most effectively because he has got a little bit of Premier League
experience. He's one of those players that will stand out.
West
and again, he's one of those magical players that could just do something to keep you up.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a really decent player. Then you have Johan Berg Gudmundsson, who we've spoken about. Probably look to move on next summer, but he's fine for this year. Josh Brownhill, who I would hand the keys to the stadium, but whatever he wants, he wants his own parking space. If he wants to take out, like Troy Deeney did, all the speed bumps so he can whiz round the car park, then allow him to do that. But that was a story Troy Deeney was telling on our podcast. That's how Watford managed to convince him to stay. By taking the speed bumps out of the car park. I don't know whether that's what Josh Brownhill wants, but if he does, give it to him. Give him what he wants, keep him around.
Yeah, definitely. He was magical.
Yeah, really, really good player. And then Scott Twine. They didn't really play him this season. He only got 14 appearances, only 5 starts in the Championship. Obviously, was injured for most of the campaign. I think there's a really, really good player in there. Obviously, tore up League One this season before.
Is he Premier League quality?
For me, the problem is I think he would have torn up the Championship this year if he's actually been able to play. Because, to be fair to him, in 5 starts he got 3 goals and an assist. Yeah. If that doesn't show his quality, I don't know what does, because he's barely played.
33 contributions?
Yeah, 33 contributions, 45 games.
Wow.
So
I think you've got to give him a chance.
Yeah, he is, of course, only 23 years old. If it's not working out, maybe you could loan him out for the second half of the season. Get him some more Premier League experience. I know there'll be clubs like Norwich probably looking for players to reinvigorate their season, because if Norwich's season goes anything like their last couple campaigns, then it's probably not going to be great. But yeah, Scott Twine, I think, a really, really talented player. Obviously only joined last summer. It's been a real shame we didn't get to see him much for Burnley. Obviously injuries have plagued his campaign. For me, he could adapt to the Prem well. It's going to be interesting to see. He is also the one thing he packs, which could be a very interesting element, which we don't really have, is a set piece taker. Yeah. Like, that can be so crucial in the Premier League. Look at Dimitri Payet for West Ham. He's pretty much keeping the league by just bending free kicks top corner all the time. You can have a player like that can just, from a dead ball situation, just ping one top corner, then lovely days.
It's a very good tool to have.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
good tool to have.
So I think he could prove very useful in that regard. Then to the forwards, Ashley Barnes, of course, already left the club. Fantastic servant for Burnley. His contract expired this summer, and I'm sure he'll do very well for Norwich next season.
He is a very good championship striker. He was decent in the Prem, but that was dodgeable.
Again, didn't really play this season, but for Wagner, to be fair, he didn't really play. 39 appearances, he did play a lot, but a lot of those were sub appearances. 22 starts, to be fair to him, though. So he has played a lot this season. I thought he played less than that, to be fair, so fair enough. Barnes has been involved a lot this season.
But he's not really a Vincent Kompany player.
Exactly, he's not great in that.
He's a dodgeball, he's going to flick it on to little Jay Rodriguez.
And to be fair, only 6 goals and 3 assists. It's not really what you're looking for from a player of his quality. So, I would say it makes sense to let him leave.
Him at Norwich will do very well.
He's also never had, if you look through all his seasons of football, he's never had on Footmob green ratings. So since 2016-17, where they started the ratings, implement rating systems, he's just never clocked up any green rating seasons.
He's tried his best.
These average ratings are not stunning. But Jay Rodriguez, he has had a very, very good campaign, and I'm sure he'll go on to either be a very good starting striker or a fantastic rotation option should they sign another striker. So for me, he's an obvious keep. Manuel Benson, you keep as well. We've already spoken about his importance to this Burnley side. I think Darko Shulanov hasn't really been given a chance to prove himself this season. He only played 7 times for Burnley, and only one of those was a start before he was loaned out to the Bundesliga to Stuttgart for the second half of the season. So, oh no, sorry, he played 1 game for Stuttgart, then joined Burnley. But he's a really good player, and I think he could prove that in the Premier League. It's just whether he's actually given an opportunity to. But if not, you look at a loan move and you see whether what you can do in the Championship. He definitely deserves to be getting some minutes though for someone next season, because he's only 22. North Macedonian winger. It could be crucial for them in the future. It could be big for Burnley if they actually give him a chance. Lyle Foster then was a January addition who's only played 11 times for the club.
Yeah, this was an interesting one.
I was a bit confused by the decision to sign him in the first place, I'm going to be honest, but he is a good player. It's just, I don't know, it didn't really work out for him.
The fact he's bought in January, I wouldn't sell him yet. I wouldn't sell him, but... Is he Premier League quality? I don't know. Was I impressed by him in his first 6 months of the Championship? Not especially.
But he's probably there's definitely a good player in there.
Yeah.
I would look to probably loan him out at the start of the season. The same really applies to Dara Costello. He was on loan at Bradford last season, only played 11 times. I think you'd look at a League One loan this season. I know that was a League Two loan. He didn't really impress, but you could look at a League One loan, see if there's any interest there. There probably will be someone in League One. Maybe whoever's just come up from League Two. I think that was Leyton Orient, right, from League Two to up to League One. So someone like that could be a good fit for him. But he didn't really do a lot last season. No. But ultimately, it's not that. It's not massive for Burnley. He's only 20. Maybe if he chairs up League One and then gets a loan move to the Championship, he could be a future forward for Burnley. But for me, he's not really proven enough yet to warrant any first team minutes. And then Asarore, need we say anything other than just sing at you? But he's a magical player. He had a fantastic season of 7 goals, 5 assists in 34 games. It was just so good. His movement's impeccable.
Honestly,
he's so quick.
Brilliant. Absolutely. I just want to sit there on that first game of the season Friday night and just listen to the Burnley fans singing his song.
Well, we won't be live for it, so we'll have to sing it for the audience, of course.
Even better. It's just brilliant. Brilliant chant, brilliant player. Again, could be something magical. He's the type of player that could do what Jack Grealish did for Villa.
Just keep him in the league.
Just keep him in the league.
The difference is, he's not... I wouldn't say he's as good as Jack Grealish was when Grealish was playing for Villa, though. But... And also, the Burnley system is a lot better than the Villa system. The Villa system was, can we get the ball to Grealish? If we do, hurrah. But
that Villa system beat Liverpool 7-2, so...
No, Liverpool beat Liverpool 7-2 in that game. Liverpool completely collapsed. But Yeah, Burnley clearly a really good side, and I think if they continue their style of play but adapt it slightly so it suits the Premier League,
I think
definitely
Kompany will be aware of that. And just to touch on Vincent Kompany, I think it was brilliant that they've managed to keep hold of him this summer. Obviously, there's a few rumours where we go to Tottenham, where he'd move elsewhere. Obviously, and realistically, people were questioning would he be the long-term Man City replacement for Pep, but they've
probably will be, but
they've
that's
kept
not
him this summer. Very good manager again. Seeing him on that touchline, when he just sat like 3 rows behind him, throwing his cap on the ground and screaming at players. That's what you want from any manager. Very passionate, absolutely loves the club. I remember seeing that team talk when he was in the Belgian Pro League at half time. He absolutely tore into his players because they were losing to their rivals or something, and he was embarrassed by him, ashamed. He was very animated. I love it. Love to see managers like that.
Yeah, I think he plays a really attractive brand of football as well. But as you say, all those great qualities imagine is to make it at the top level. So for me, Kompany is a fantastic coach, and there's a clear identity to his play which takes a lot of inspiration from his mentor Pep Guardiola. So he's another one. Pep is slowly becoming the Yoda of football.
He's got Arteta. He's got
all his Jedi.
He's got Kompany. He's got Xavi. Yeah. He did have Xavi. But he's left now, hasn't he? Where's he gone?
What do you mean, Xavi?
He left his... Who's he managing? He left.
Barcelona?
Yeah. No. Xavi. Who was Xavi managing?
Who are you on about? Xavi managed...
Oh, he did, yeah, he did. No.
He's the Barcelona manager.
No.
What's going on?
I'm thinking of...
Xavi managed Qatar All-Stars, but then he's Barcelona manager.
Who am I thinking of that left their club and was crying about it?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Iniesta, I got them mixed up.
All right.
Move on.
He did a Xavi manager at one of the most famous clubs in the world. But yeah, he has got, and then obviously his assistant's just gone and joined Leicester as well. Yeah. So he's done brilliantly. And even Martin Demichelis has become a fantastic manager now in the Argentinian league. I believe he manages River Plate, if I'm not mistaken. So
wow,
even Martin Demichelis has took some inspiration there.
He was bang average defender.
Bang average is generous. Yeah. He was a defender.
He was a questionable defender.
He did some defending.
Love Demichelis.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Burnley.
Then. Shall we look at some positions which I think could do with some improvement? Now, viewers at home, some Burnley fans, if you're watching, you may well disagree with these, and feel free to flood the comment section with your thoughts and opinions. I know that a lot of the other videos have had those similar sort of feedback, so
thanks,
if you
guys.
could be constructive, that would be
absolutely
appreciated.
Love it. Keep them coming in.
Oh yeah, absolutely love that you guys are enjoying and interacting with this content. But yeah, backup goalkeeper I think is somewhat crucial. I have lined up a decent option there, I think, though. I do think maybe you want an experienced player, a very experienced player. So I found someone that's decent experienced but not too old. Starting centre half's crucial, obviously, with Harwood Bellis leaving from his loan. Starting left back as well, same situation there with Martson. I think some midfield reinforcement could be really, really useful, and then a forward option with Ashley Barnes leaving. So we'll start then with goalkeeper, because I've picked out Sven Ulreich. Now, not played a lot for Bayern in recent years, and I think that could be useful because for £2 million, I think you can definitely tempt Bayern to let him leave, tempt him to leave. I think he will be a more than capable, more than adequate backup goalkeeper. For me, you would have wanted someone with a bit more experience. I was trying to find a Neto, a Navas type goalkeeper.
Equally.
The only person, as I say, that I could think of was Claudio Bravo, but he has just signed an extension with Betis.
My thing, so obviously Bayern have now got Sommer and Neuer, so they don't need Ulreich. But Ulreich has learned from Ulreich has trained with probably one of the best goalkeepers of the last decade.
And obviously he did play under Pep Guardiola. And I think that could be really useful if he is to play maybe a couple rotation minutes, if he is to start the cup competitions, if he's just to be involved with the club, to have a more senior figure who has played.
Depending how Muric does,
Bundesliga.
Ulreich could push him to start.
Well, that's the thing as well. I want some competition there. So if Muric is having a bad season, you've got a more than adequate goalkeeper. Because for me, I don't hate Peacock Farrell. We would if I did.
Despise him.
Yeah. But I think he is not ready for Premier League football.
And I feel
not
that
good enough for Premier League.
This is Ulreich's best chance to get to the best league in the world.
Probably, I don't really see him ever starting for a Premier League side, but he could definitely come in and do a job. I don't think he's too old either, Sven Ulreich. I believe he's only
34.
I was going to say younger than that, but we'll have a look. Sven,
So he's
all
like
right.
28.
He's 34 to be fair. That's what I was thinking, maybe under
No,
30 mark, but yeah, hasn't played in a while.
Probably got another 2-3 years in him.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it's a backup goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's going to go along.
Yeah, but I don't think it's Burnley. You want a 38-year-old man sitting on your bench.
No, but it'll be interesting.
But he isn't a coach.
For Burnley, they've got to think about this season and then look beyond, probably.
Yeah,
but he'd be a fine third choice in 4 seasons' time. So, yeah, for me, definitely could be a good option as a backup there. Starting centre half, then, as we say, they've already renewed the contract of Bayer, so I think that's fine there.
Good deal, that.
But then other signings who they have already brought in is Dara O'Shea from West Brom. I think that's a good bit of business now.
I think it's very smart. A West Brom club that's about to be sold for around £60 million. So they're in tatters. They're going to take any money they can get. So
yeah,
definitely, going out and getting, picking up those players. Very, very smart idea.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously they're building this sort of Irish contingent now with Josh Cullen in there, and now with Dara O'Shea. I think there's someone, Connor Roberts, of course, is Irish as well.
He's Welsh, isn't he?
Oh, he might be actually. Yeah. Oh, that was poor from me.
Yeah.
He's got the Welsh coming
from. He's going to get tasty this one.
But they are building a bit of an Irish contingent there, so I think he fits that. He's a good centre half, good with the ball at his feet as well, which is crucial to how Burnley like to play. Then, a player that I've added here, and someone I've seen them linked with, is Soumaya Koulibaly, who, of course, is a young Dortmund centre-half. I think you can get him on loan. I wouldn't buy him because he's a bit error-prone. He has struggled to play. I think he played a game for Dortmund and made a crucial error, and since then didn't play for them. But for me, on a loan deal, it removes that risk. He may not start at the start of the season, but he is 6'3", so I think that frame does just replace the physical presence of Harvard Bellis.
I'd love to see him and Haaland go to get toe-to-toe match week 1.
That may well be interesting, yeah. So for me, Koulibaly makes a lot of sense, replaces exactly what Harvard Bellis did, and on a loan deal, relatively less risk-free. Maybe if you can get an optional future fee in there, then that could be useful if you want to sign him the summer after.
But do not get Kalidou. Make sure you get the other one.
Don't accidentally sign Kalidou Koulibaly. That would be frustrating. Starting left-backs, then, well, the most obvious option is just go and buy in Martin. Because if Chelsea don't sell Cucurella, for me, you can probably get him at around £20 million.
Cucurella.
Don't sign Cucurella, whatever you do.
Absolute garbage. Sideshow Bob.
The 20 mil for Martin is a fantastic deal, isn't it? So I think there's not really any risk there. He played exactly how he was so crucial last season. A really, really good player on the left-hand side of the defence, and really useful for the attack for the first half of the season, and still put up some attacking output and towards the end of the season when they changed up the system. So for me, he just makes sense. If you can buy him, do. 20 mil is a little bit steep when there are other areas of the squad to address, but if you want a quality player, that's the sort of price you're going to pay. For me, it's a bargain. Nonetheless, I think he could be a player that potentially sells for closer to £80 million, especially with the way inflation's going. So, in football,
cost of living, poor blimey.
Not just making the point, but sure, the cost of living crisis is up. 20 mil for Martin is not a bargain in that discussion. But yeah, in the general transfer market, I think £20 million for a young left back who could be potential world beater, potential Netherlands star.
I mean, and you look at the other way. I mean, if you look at Chelsea fullbacks, Livramento, Lamptey, all gone on. They're probably going to make profits. Those teams.
Yeah. So I think he's just signing from the Chelsea directly from the Chelsea academy makes sense. Mark Guehi, of course, for Crystal Palace as well. Another example of that. So
many others.
Relatively, obviously, Salah, De Bruyne, they all turned profits. So. Yeah, for me, those two weren't academy though, to be fair.
Yeah.
But for me, Martin just makes a lot of sense. Really, really talented player. He fit the system last year. There's no reason why he wouldn't again. If Chelsea do sell Cucurella though and keep Martin, then I have offered a backup option of a loan deal for Sergio Gomez. I think City would be more than happy to do that. That would mean you have to start Charlie Taylor twice this season and on the opening day, but I think that's fine. He can definitely do a job, and you would be bringing in a quality player who, crucially, has played under Vincent Kompany, I believe. Because he was at Anderlecht, I think.
That's a shout and a half.
When they played, when obviously he was there.
As you said, I think City, they don't even play with fullbacks anymore, so don't need him.
Yeah.
loan him out. I'm sure he'd love it.
100%, and that gives him a bit more Premier League experience, while City can still play whatever the hell their current system is.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a left back anymore. Like, because Ake plays there at the moment.
I suppose they don't
play a centre half. They do have a left back because it starts as a 4-3-3 and then changes into a 3-2-4-1. But you could, and Gomez could play that left side of defence role.
They don't want him to.
Or almost an inverted. He could play as an inverted left back, sort of how Zinchenko played. But options. But for me, a loan deal for him makes a lot of sense. Good attacking fullback, would suit the Burnley system, and has played under Kompany in the past. So I think it makes sense for all parties. I think he'd be happy to go there, get some more minutes, and City would be happy to give him some Prem experience.
Yeah.
Moving on then to the next area, that midfield reinforcements then. For me, DM is fine because you've got Bastion in that role, you've got Cork, so you're all right there. Though you do need someone, I think, that can rotate with Josh Cullen. Now, this may be a bit of a punt and a bit of a long shot, but I've said Florentino Luis. Obviously, Benfica middle midfielder, tends to play as either a box-to-box or as a playmaker. He suits that role which Josh Cullen plays. He's got a great FBref profile as well, so he could play in that double pivot because his tackling interception numbers are decent and his passing numbers are decent. But for me, you could also play him as someone that pushes forward a bit more because they will line up with three midfielders in there. One will almost play as an attacking midfielder at times, or two will push up together, and if one pushes into attacking midfield, then the other two will sit deeper. So for me, a Luis and Cork pivot sounds mental on paper, but I think it might just work. And he's a magical player.
My question would be, would he...
Going to be an expensive deal, but yeah, what was your...
Would he leave? Would he trade Champions League football with Benfica for a relegation fight with Burnley?
The thing is, he's not going to play for Benfica. I don't think he will play much for Benfica.
And this is another...
It's a chance. It's a chance at the Premier League, and everyone loves the Premier League because it's the best. I think he was on loan last season somewhere, but I cannot tell you where. Yeah, he was on loan at Getafe. Oh no, sorry, he was on loan at Getafe the season before, but he did play for Benfica last season. 25 starts, 33 appearances
very well
in the league. Clearly played really, really well, but I think for 20 mil, you could probably maybe 30 mil, but
Benfica are very good at upping their price. Look how much Liverpool to Nunes.
As I say, this is my biggest punt.
Yeah,
this is going to be a difficult transfer to pull off, but if you do pull it off at that 30 mil mark, because I think Benfica may be a little more lenient. They've already made loads of money. They don't need more.
On what plan? Look how much they sold João Felix for.
João Felix, Enzo Fernandez. There's
robberies.
Go on, Ruben Diaz. They're not robberies.
They are. Sorry, you can't tell me how much they charge Liverpool for Nunes.
To be fair though, Nunes cooked the Champions League in the season before, and actually he's a really, really good player. As is João Felix, as is Enzo Fernandez, has proven. And to be fair, I mean, the Benfica, this is such a tangent, but Benfica are ridiculously good at recruitment.
But what they do, they find their way to make sure that everyone plays the top price.
Who is it they went and signed? Oh, Andreas Schelderup they went and picked up for like 20 quid pretty much. And they'll probably sell him on for £100 million.
Yeah, but I think it would be steep to get Louise.
I think it would be, but Burnley have money.
They do.
Burnley definitely have money, but you're probably looking. There's definitely other options out there for a more affordable price tag. Someone who is more affordable then, Coventry City midfielder Gustavo Hamer, and actually while I'm on the point, Victor Gyökeres as well.
Oh, now we're getting some names.
This was discussed towards the end of the season. How actually the way that players are struggling to adapt a lot recently, does it not just make more sense to buy? Could we see people be bought in pairs? So. It's spoken a lot about Napoli because Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia are both great players. The fact they've already got that link up, could someone go and splash 200 million to get the pair?
And the thing with Hamer and Gyökeres, but also you've got Luke McNally coming back from loan. He spent the whole season at Coventry.
Exactly. So you
have a little Coventry trio there.
Not that they'd be anywhere near each other, but they would be able to have the dynamic in the squad.
Gyökeres, I think is a very good player and makes more sense for me as a forward option. Hamer, I'd have question marks about. He had a very good season. Is he ready for that step up yet? I don't know.
I would say 100% he is. 100% he is.
I'd have my reservations. Gyökeres, I'll be sold. Signed, sealed, delivered. Brilliant player. So he will be snapped up by a Premier League club this season.
For me,
might Burnley, might West Ham.
Hamer doesn't start. Hamer's rotation with Brownhill.
Yeah.
But he plays that role brilliantly. And we've seen him do it for Coventry all season, how he can play as that midfielder that pushes forwards. I think he'd do really well in that role for Burnley. I think his numbers really say it all.
To be fair, he was quality in that Championship player final.
Exactly. And if he can bring that to Burnley, it's just a
it?
different dynamic. He did indeed. In tears, but he has been magnificent this season. We look at his FB ref, he ranks in some of the highest percentiles for non-penalty goals. This is against midfielders, of course. Non-penalty XG, shots total, assists, expected assisting for goals, stuff like that. So he's just his shot creating actions, by the way, also in the 95th percentile. So all very high ranking there, but also his passing numbers, his progressing numbers are also really good. So he could carry that ball out of midfield into those forward areas just to give you another way forward. So, and also his tackle numbers, even despite all those great attacking numbers that we're looking at, it ranks in the 87th percentile for tackles.
Yeah.
That's across all midfielders in the Championship. 81st percentile for blocks. So he can play as a more defensive player as well, which could be crucial in that role. A very similar profile to Josh Brownhill. For me, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
A lot of sense, especially since he's already got that connection with Victor Gyökeres, that relationship with Victor Gyökeres, which could prove crucial. So yeah, that sort of takes us into the forward options, as you mentioned, with Gyökeres, probably looking around the £20 million marks for him, £12 million mark for Hamer. I think that's a handsome £32 million for Coventry, which they could then use to get themselves up into the Prem. And then they have already signed a striker, apparently, Burnley. Now, this one was weird, but apparently they've signed Michael Obafemi. So he was on loan for them with the second half of the season, didn't really start much, played a lot of bench minutes. But apparently they've signed him. Now, I couldn't find much information. They've not announced him, but on Transfermarkt, it says he plays for Burnley and will play for Burnley next season. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe Burnley fans in the comments can update us, can give us some more information on the current situation on Obafemi. But for me, that's a weird one because he didn't do a lot last season. Yeah, I mean, he didn't play loads, and I know he didn't have these. I know he said in an interview he doesn't have the stamina actually to start and play a full 90 for Burnley.
Which is mental, like you're a professional footballer.
But no, it's a company system.
Oh, okay.
Because it demands obviously so much of players.
That makes more sense. I was about to say.
It's different. It's not that he just can't run.
Oh, I'm knackered, mate, after 60. Blimey.
But yeah, obviously that adapting to that system does take time. And he apparently just didn't have that stamina to be able to press as aggressively as Kompany wants him to. So maybe if he can work out that for the time, it'll be great. But the fact that there's not a lot of information on what's going on with his current situation was really confusing for me. So it's hard to research that.
Probably a Burnley fan.
There's only Burnley in the nose out there. Then get us some information. But yeah, so that would be around 107 million with all those factors in fees. That may be a little higher if Florentino Luis is. Well, Forest spent 200 mil.
Yeah.
So that's not. Burnley will have that money. They'll get payments for coming up into the Premier League. But 107 mil, that's with Luis's tag a little lower than maybe expected. 87 mil if that's Gomez rather than Martin, because that'll be a loan deal rather than 20 million permanent. So for me, that's probably the best you could do without spending loads. Maybe Luis could be someone else and you could get someone of a similar quality for a lot less. But I think I've done a good job there. Of course, I'm sure the comment section will leave their feedback. But any other targets if you've seen anyone linked to Burnley? Because I was trying to find people and just couldn't. There's not a lot of links to Burnley right now. They were linked with a few players. I think that there's this Bilal Toure or Traore bloke that's been linked with everyone under the sun that we've been discussing so far. There's also one that interested me. Oh, Habib Diallo, who I actually said should go to Luton. When we did that Luton rebuild. I know we will do Luton again in this series, but I said he'd be a great addition. So they've also been linked with Andrew Omavamadeli, but having already signed Bayat and Dara O'Shea, I don't think it'd be a weird one. I think it's really good, but you probably wouldn't want to fork out another £20 million. But Omavamadeli's still magnificent. It's not his fault, and he hasn't really played. It was mainly Hanley and Gibson, though, which it's not. He did. No, it's not like he didn't really play. Sorry, he did obviously play quite a lot, but those two started, I think, most of the games.
Yeah,
I can't spell his name. Here we go. He played 34 appearances, only 27 starts. It is, but you should be starting every game.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, a really good player. He would make sense because obviously he is a good centre half. He's Irish as well, so if you want to continue that Irish contingent and.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, top of the morning to you. You'll be fine there. But yeah, That is, I think that's everything for this. Should we do some predictions before we sign off then? Where do we see Burnley being next season?
They'll be down there. Don't get me wrong, they were brilliant in the Championship, but they will be down there. I think they will just be okay.
Okay. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be around that 12th, 11th sort of mark in the table. I think they're really...
That's a disgrace to establishment.
Fulham came in and finished 10th last year and they were crap. Like Mitrovic just scored and that was it.
I think they're all mocking it.
If you look at the expected performance from last season, Fulham outperformed in every statistic possible. They just basically Mitrovic scored a load of goals from no chances created.
I think that could happen. And if I'm not doing my best Rory James impression, I think
I think Burnley play a better style of football than Fulham, and they'll be right up there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I think we might see a potential slip off for. I think Fulham will definitely sit down the table. I think Bournemouth will drop a little bit. I could see West Ham being down there again.
No,
maybe.
I think West Ham will be better.
It depends how they reinvest the Rice money. If they don't sign a DM though, they're going to get run through. So I think they could be.
I'm gonna go out. That means obviously we'll get these predictions right, but I think they could be saved by the fact that the other two teams they can't with will also be down.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Because you're already going to have those two. You've got all three sides that came up last season, none of which I think were safe, convincing, other than Fulham, who I think will drop because it's only natural. They can't maintain this level of performance. Everton haven't signed anyone yet.
In the league?
And we're talking about them in a couple of days' time.
How are they not relegated? How they never get relegated? Someone needs to relegate them.
I think Everton may well bounce back. It depends on how they recruit.
How is Dodgeball still surviving in 2023?
I'll judge whether Everton staff will not based on their first signing. If they go and make an intelligent signing, I'll go, fair enough, they're going to stay up.
Salomon Rondon
it's going to be, it's
relegate them now. Don't bother letting them play the season.
It's going to be like Borja Iglesias, which actually wouldn't be a horrendous signing, to be fair. But good player, Borja Iglesias. Much better than Rondon, put it that way.
Let's go get...
Random ass signings. They've signed Dele Alli.
Why did they... I want to be the Dele Alli.
What a song. But yeah, I think that's everything for today. Of course, if you have enjoyed, make sure... Burnley. Yeah, I like Burnley. Good side. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. It massively helps us out. We are hoping to hit 2.5k subscribers this year, which we know is ambitious. But with your help, we may well get there. If you've got something to add to the conversation, if you want to keep the conversation going, get involved in the comments below. I'm sure there'll already be loads of people leaving comments like we mispronounced a name or said one point of view which everyone disagrees with or something. But yeah, if you have any feedback, leave it down there. And if you want to give your predictions for next season or anyone you would sign, then please put it in there. I'm sure we'll have loads of Burnley fans in the comments of this that are either riled up or loving it. So let's hope it's the latter. That's all for us today though. Thank you all very much for watching and we'll see you next time.
See ya.